is a short video on the cast rule. The cast rule is really just a memory aid or mnemonic device. To use it, what we do is we start with our Cartesian coordinate system. So you can see that I have divided up the XY plane into 4 coordinates. So we have coordinates 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. And then the word cast, C-A-S-T, is written in this exact fashion. And the letters of the word cast indicate which main trigonometric function is positive in each quadrant. Now you remember there are 3 main functions. These are the ones you can see on your scientific calculator, and they are sine, cosine, and tangent. So the letter C here in quadrant 4 indicates that the cosine function is positive in quadrant 4. Right here in quadrant 2, we have the S. This means that sine is positive in quadrant 2. In quadrant 3, we have the letter T. This means tangent is positive in quadrant 3. And the last one is the A in quadrant 1. The A stands for all. So all of the trigonometric functions are positive here. Okay, and what I've just said is written here for you as well. Okay, there are a couple of things we have to keep in mind, and that is, how do we handle the reciprocal functions? So the cast rule only handles the 3 main trigonometric functions. So how do we handle cosecant, secant, and cotangent? Each reciprocal function will be positive where its corresponding main function is positive. So that should make sense to you, because these functions are formed just by doing 1 divided by a main function. And so you will find, therefore, cosecant will be positive where sine is positive. Secant will be positive where cosine is positive. Cotangent will be positive where tangent is positive. So that's the first note on how we handle the reciprocal functions. And the last note is here at the bottom. It is implied every function will be negative in the quadrants in which it is not positive. Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone is understanding this rule, because we use it in our next lesson, which is entitled Functions versus Angles. Okay, so to make sure we're understanding the key features of the cast rule, I've got on the reverse side some questions that we'll solve together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just very quickly reproduce our diagram. So again, it's quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have to be labeled like that. There's no choice. And also the lettering for cast must be exactly like this. Okay? So let's try problem A. Where is cosine positive? All right, so cosine will be positive in quadrant 4. That's what the C indicates. But it'll also be positive in quadrant 1, where all functions are positive. So the answers are 1 and 4. Okay, the next question, where is sine negative? Now remember, sine will be negative anywhere it is not positive. Sine is positive in quadrant 2. That's what the S stands for. It is also positive in quadrant 1, where all functions are positive. And so where is sine negative? In the other 2 quadrants. So where the T and the C are, so quadrants 3 and 4. Okay. the next question says, where is cosecant positive? We have to remember that this lettering refers to main trig functions. So when we are asked about cosecant, we have to remember that it's the reciprocal of sine. So the question can be changed to this one. Where is sine positive? Well, sine is positive in quadrants 1 and 2, where all functions are positive and where sine, S for sine, is positive. So quadrants 1 and 2. Where is cotangent negative? Again, cotangent is not a function on your calculator. It's a reciprocal function. So we have to remember that it's the reciprocal of tangent. So we change the question to this. Where is tangent negative? It is negative where it is not positive. So tangent is positive in quadrant 3 where the T is for tangent. It is also positive in quadrant 1 where all functions are positive. So tangent is positive here. Therefore, it is negative here in the other two. So quadrants 2 and 4 are where we will have a negative cotangent. Okay, part E, where are sine and cosine both negative? Sine and cosine both negative. Okay, so let's think about this. Certainly not in quadrant 1 because they are actually both positive here. In fact, all functions are positive here. In quadrant 2, they are not both negative because sine is positive here. In quadrant 4, they are not both negative because cosine is positive here. So the only possibility is right here in quadrant 3. The only main trigonometric function positive in quadrant 3 is tangent. So both sine and cosine are negative here. Okay, so here's a similar question. How about where is tangent and where are tangent and cosine both negative? Okay, so hopefully you will identify that can only happen where the S is. S for sine being the only main trig function positive here. So in quadrant 2, tangent and cosine will both be negative. Okay, so you can go about the analysis this way. If you like, in quadrant 1, all functions are positive, including tangent and cosine. In quadrant 4, cosine is positive. So tangent and cosine are not both negative. In quadrant 3, tangent is positive. So tangent and cosine are not both negative. So once again, the only possibility is right here in quadrant 2. Okay, finally, where is cotangent positive and secant negative? Now, cotangent and secant are both reciprocal functions, and therefore we have to change to their, we have to change the question so that it includes the corresponding main functions. So cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, and secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So now the question is, where is tangent positive while cosine is negative? Okay, so where is tangent positive? That would be quadrant 1, where all functions are positive, and quadrant 3, T for tangent. So tangent is positive in these two quadrants. Now, of quadrants 1 and 3, which one would also have a negative cosine? So of these two possibilities, the only one with a negative cosine is quadrant 3. So quadrant 3 is the correct place for a positive tangent and a negative cosine, or a positive cotangent and a negative secant. Okay, so I hope that that is okay for an understanding of the cast rule. As I said, we will need to use the cast rule in the very next lesson, which is an analysis of functions versus angles. We've already had a lesson entitled Functions versus Angles, but in that lesson we restricted our coverage to quadrant 1, where all functions were positive. And in the lesson that follows, we're talking about any angle within 0 to 360 degrees. Okay? Okay, thanks for watching, and you can get ready to view functions versus angles next.